Okay, we now move on to some trigonometry questions. These are the sort of questions we did around the time we did the assignment. So the first are calculation questions. The first question asks us just to calculate the sine of 50 degrees. We go to our calculator and we go sine 50 equals 0.7766. So we might round it to 0.77. That's just a matter of doing the calculation and writing it in. Same as we look at the cosine. We look at this and we say, okay, I forgot to look at what number we're calculating. Cosine of 22. So we go cosine 22 equals, and our answer should be 0.9. To round to 2 decimal places, 0.93. And there aren't any units for this because it's effectively a ratio. Now, we come on to where we have to apply some of these calculations. So here we've got an angle of 30 degrees, a side opposite that's unknown, so the side opposite is the side opposite the angle. This would be the side adjacent, we're not interested in that. This is the hypotenuse because it is opposite the right angle, it's the longest side. Now the rules we've got to work with, sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. So the sine of the angle equals opposite over the hypotenuse. They're the three pieces of information we've got. So that's what we're going to use. We can say the sine of an angle equals opposite over hypotenuse. Now we can substitute what we know in. It's the sine of 30 equals, the side opposite is x divided by 19. Let's calculate the sine of 30. There we go, sine 30 equals 0.5. So we've got that 0.5 equals x divided by 19. Now we want to get x by itself. So if we multiply both sides by 19, we're getting to those rules for an equation. If we do something to one side, we can do it to the other side as well. Multiply both sides by 19, and we're going to get x by itself and find out what it is. And multiply okay, 0.5 times 19. You can use a calculator if you want, but I think that's going to equal 9.5, and x multiplied by 19 divided by 19. The 19 is going to cancel out, and it's going to be equal x. Very important, though, that we do have units here. It's going to be 9.5 centimetres. And that's a reasonable answer because we know the hypotenuse has to be the longest side, and so it has to be shorter than that. 9.5 is shorter, so it seems like it's a reasonable sort of an answer. Let's have a look at the next one triangle we've got here. Now, this is a little bit different. We've got the same angle here. We've got the side opposite again, and we're trying to find the side opposite. We've also got the side adjacent or next to. So the rule that links sides opposite and adjacent is tan. So tan of an angle equals opposite over adjacent. So in this case, we've got the tan of 30 degrees equals x is the unknown, divided by 30. Substituting our numbers in, well, let's calculate the tan of 30 to start with. So we've got tan 30 equals 0.577, so to 2 decimal places, that's going to equal 0.58. Look at that, 0.58 equals x divided by 30. Now we've got the rule where we can do something to one side, do the same to the other. We want to get x by itself. So if we multiply both sides by 30, we're going to get rid of the 30 in the bottom of the equation there, in the denominator, and we'll find out what x equals. So in this side we want to multiply both sides by 30. So I'm going to need the calculator to multiply 0.58 multiplied by 30. That's going to equal 17.4. So 17.4 equals, and x multiplied by 30 divided by 30 is just going to leave us with x. The one thing we've got to remember though is we are talking about units, so it's going to be 17.4 centimetres is what x equals. And that seems like a reasonable sort of an answer. The last one we've got here is we've got a question where we don't know what the angle is. So let's go through our rules again. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan is opposite over adjacent. So the one that fits this time is sine, because we know we've got the side opposite over the side over the hypotenuse, the side across from the right angle. So we're going to be able to use sine. So sine of x is going to equal opposite over hypotenuse. In this case, sine of x is going to equal, the side opposite is 11 divided by 23. And if I put that into my calculator, I divide 11 divided by 23, and I get 0.48 equals 0.48. Now, we want to now do the opposite function of finding the sine of x. We want to find the inverse sine of 0.48. If we do that, that's going to tell us what x equals. So if we go here and we go inverse sine 0.48. No, that's, sorry, I think I've gone the wrong thing. I've got inverse, yeah, so by pressing this inverse button, that gives a sine to the negative 1. On your calculator, you'll be looking for sine to the negative 1. Sine to the negative 1, 0.48, and that gives us 28.69 degrees. So x equals 28.69 degrees. So this is, if we just go past, have a quick look at this stage again, this is the opposite. Once we know that sine of x equals 0.48, we can find x by using that inverse sine to the negative 1 function, and that gives us what the angle equals there. We're now on to some equations, and the important thing here is we've got an equal sign. And that kind of implies what we're trying to do is solve and find the value of x. When we've got the equal sign, the rule is if we do something to one side, we can do it to the other. And generally we start by saying, okay, let's get rid of any pluses and minuses. So our first step we're going to do in this one is subtract 6 from both sides. So that's going to be 4x. Now 4x plus 6 minus 6, that's just going to stay as 4x, is going to equal 14 minus 6. So we can work that out, that 4x equals 8. And here we're going to go to say, okay, we're going to get x by itself. We've got 4 times x. The opposite of 4 times x is to divide by 4. So if you divide both sides by 4, we're going to get that 4x divided by 4 is just leaves with x. 8 divided by 4 is going to equal 2. So we've got that x equals 2. A little trick that you can do is you can then go back to your starting equation and substitute in and see if it works. So if I put 2 in where I see x, 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. And happily, that seems to work out nicely. Let's go to the next equation here. In this case, we've got minus 6. We're going to get rid of this plus or minus first. The opposite of minus 6 is to add 6 to both sides. So we've got 4x minus 6 plus 6. Well, that's just going to leave us with 4x. Is going to equal 14 plus 6. Now, 4 times x, we've got here to get x by itself. 4 times x, the opposite of multiplying. 4 multiplied by x is divided by 4. So we want want to divide both sides by 4. We're going to get x equals, and 14 plus 6 is 20. 20 divided by 4 is 5. And we can substitute that in and double check it here. So let's say when x equals 5, put 5 into here. Let's see if it works. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 minus 6 is 14. So it looks like we're doing pretty well again here. The next one we've got a little trick that we've got to start by multiplying out our brackets. We've done this before. So 2 times x is going to be 2x plus 10 equals 32. Now we want to see if we can get x by itself and find out what x is. So we're going to subtract 10 from both sides. Do something to one side, we can do it to the other. So 2x plus 10 minus 10, that's going to leave us with 2x equals 32 minus 10. So 32 minus 10 is going to equal 22. Now we've got 2 times x. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is to divide by both sides by 2 to get x by itself. So 2x divided by 2 is just going to leave us with x. 22 divided by 2 is going to be 11. So we think that that's our right answer there. Let's substitute it back in and see if it works out. 11 plus 5 is 16. 2 times 16 is 32. That seems to have worked pretty well. Next one is a similar sort of problem. We've got to multiply it again. 2 times x is going to be 2x. A little bit of a trick with a minus sign. 2 times minus 2 is going to be minus 4 equals 16. The opposite of subtracting 4 from is going to be to add 4 to both sides. So we've got 2x minus 4 plus 4, that's just going to equal 0, is going to be equal 16 plus 4. So 2x is going to equal 20. You can probably see that if we divide both sides by 2, we're right, but let's just think it through. The logic of 2 times x, obviously multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. Divide both sides by 2. And we get that x equals 10. Substituting back in. X minus 2 is going to give us 8 in there. 2 times 8 is 16. So once again, it seems to work out. Now we've got the trick. We've got a couple of tricks here. Let's multiply these brackets out first, and then we're going to have to get x's all onto the same side. So multiplying out the brackets. 5 times x is 5x plus 5 times 2 is 10 equals 40 minus x. Now, the easiest is usually to get rid of the side with the smallest x's. So if we add an x to both sides, we're going to get rid of this minus x on here. So add x to both sides. On this side, we're going to get that 6x plus 10 equals 40 minus x plus x. So take away an x, add an x, that just equals 0. So here's our sum that we're working on there. We want to get the x's by itself, so we want to subtract 10 from both sides. So we're going to have 6x plus 10 minus 10, they're going to cancel out, equals 40 minus 10. And 6x is going to equal 30. We now want to divide by 6, both sides by 6 to get x by itself. X equals 5. Okay, and the very last one that we've got here, we've got that 3x, so 3x, multiply out the brackets first. So 3 times x is 3x plus 12 equals 2x plus 12. We multiply both sides out. Get rid of the smallest x's first. So we're going to subtract 2x so we're going to have 3x minus 2x is just going to equal x plus 12. It's going to equal, so 2x minus 2x, that's just going to cancel out, so it's just going to equal 12. To get rid of the 12, we're going to subtract